That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. These are the famous first words ever to be spoken on the moon. This was in 1966 when Neil Armstrong, famous NASA astronaut, bounced across the lunar surface. And not only did he leave his footprint on the moon, but that of the US in recent human history.
I want that, I need that, that's real homie, I can't believe that.
But this victory is hardly one that came about without ill motive. It came as a counteractive response to what the USSR had already accomplished. The Soviets had successfully launched the first artificial satellite into space. That's in 1957, where it took 98 minutes for the satellite to orbit Earth in its elliptical path. The Soviets' feat triggered a great sense of alarm across the US and the Western allies. Back home, the US government appeared nearsighted to most Americans. It seemed as though the US government had prioritized its industrial and technological part to producing new model automobiles and more gadgets. While the Soviets were conquering space. In the UK, a Western US ally, there were mixed reactions to the Soviet success. While some rejoiced, there were those that shared concern for a Soviet attack launched from space. In the wake of humiliation and the fear on part of the American public over the Soviet lead, the US had no option but to enter the space race. As the US was working to take over the reins of space travel from the Soviets, it was also leading the way to cyberspace. The invention of the internet is something we enjoy covering, and in a future episode, we are definitely gonna drop a compilation of the inception, the invention, the inclusion to, and the information age of the internet, which will probably explain a lot of the social antagonisms that we have today. We witness this each day on social media. A lot of it can be explained if you just understood the history of the internet. You'll want to hit the subscribe button and turn on all the notifications so you'll be able to watch that as soon as it drops. This was the era during which the Soviets not only had a satellite in orbit, but a nuclear ballistic station so close by in Cuba. That must have felt like the Undertaker's chokehold. In spite of all the warmongering, the US eventually made it to space. Then later, to the moon first. This was the beginning of the geopolitical scales tipping in its favor. Then came the primary precursor network, APRANET, which initially served as the backbone for the interconnection of regional academic and military networks in the 1970s. APRANET passed on the baton to NSFNet in the 1980s. This transition was the bright morning star announcing the internet boom of the 1990s, which resulted as a result of the commercialization of the internet and the global inclusion. The present count of internet users in the world as of 2020 is more than 4.5 billion people. This is how the US has had a firm grip on the world throughout the entire information age. History has a funny way of repeating itself, doesn't it? While in recent years the US sought to lead the West and the world in liberal policies and freedoms, China has stealthily crept into the cyberspace and positioned itself as the frontrunner of government-backed cryptocurrencies. Yes, the People's Bank of China has been developing the digital Yuan, a so-called central bank digital currency that aims to replace some of the cash in circulation. This is at a time when the US government is broadly skeptical of cryptocurrencies without offering an alternative. Facebook has been working on rolling out Libra, a cryptocurrency backed by the dollar on its platform. This has yet to happen. one of the major drawbacks for the Libra project has been global regulators who have warned that it could threaten monetary stability and become a hotbed for money laundering. Although there are a few American corporations getting their feet wet in this new realm, many others have chosen to stick to the devil they know. At least there are clear-cut laws and regulations governing operations in this sector. As the US and the EU continue in their skepticism of blockchain technology-backed currencies, the business community in the West in indecision, China will continue to dominate the crypto sphere. It is clearly up to the challenge, and the digital yuan will be in use by next year when all roads lead to Beijing for the Winter Olympics. Just from that alone, China does have a massive head start. But not to count out the US and the West yet. Who knows, they could come back better and stronger. We just have to wait and see. But as of now, we've got to hand it to China. Or what do you guys think? Now, there's lots more that hasn't been covered in this video, but it is available in books just like the ones we feature on occasion. And you can find those by following the link in the description of this video. Join us in our digital leadership campaign for 2021. How to do that is pretty easy. Just take up the challenge of 30 minutes of reading every day. And it could be on anything as long as it's informative and innovative. Once you're done, package it in the most engaging way. Now, you will want to do it in such a way that it is of educational value to anyone who stumbles upon it in social media. See, we believe that the internet and its accompanying technologies serve their highest purpose when we use them to inspire in the online communities we are a part of. If that sounds good to you, join the movement. Learn the motto, reading is leading. The inspiration is in the information.
I want that, I need that, that's real homie, I can't believe that.